Alex, good to meet you.
Hi, Bob. Nice to meet you as well. I was looking forward towards our meeting.
I'm looking forward to learning all about Chamelio and finding out about what you're doing. So, why don't we kind of start? I know we're going to go into a demo, but why don't we start with you kind of telling me a little bit about the company and what you're doing here?
Sure. So we are Chamelio. We are the legal intelligence platform, and our mission is to help in-house legal professionals exclusively solve their day-to-day needs. And we're doing that by building multiple modules that help them in different things that they have to tackle in their daily life. Just a word about the people behind the company. So, we are three co founders. I'm the CEO. My background is actually in entrepreneurship and finance. It's my second company that I'm starting. My first company was sold recently in a significant exit, which is good. And I
Congratulations.
partnered up with all the colleagues. One of them was the general counsel for my previous company. His name is Gil. He served in multiple general counsel roles in the last decade. So he brings the subject matter expertise. He's our COO and he's in charge of the product. And our other third co-founder is Gal, our CTO, and he brings a very deep AI and knowledge and understanding. His last role was the senior director of AI at Sage, the accounting giant, which he helped develop the Sage AI services from scratch, and he did that for more than 3 years. And before that, he got to Sage by being brought up with his startup that did document intelligence and data extraction for documents. So he's been doing that for the last decade. Between us three, I think that we bring the right expertise to be able to address from a business, technological, and of course, from a subject matter expertise perspective, the in-house legal team's needs.
Yeah, how long have you been in business? When did you start?
Yeah, so we started running the business around the beginning of 2024, and we got venture-backed capital at about September of 2024. So we had already a few customers when we got funded, and it helped us accelerate and start running even faster. We brought our first live product to the market just at the end of January, to be honest. But it's been a wild ride since then. We were able to generate a significant interest, to enlist a few tens of paying customers live, large companies from all sizes, from public companies to small solo GCs companies, to the most secure companies in the world, and to companies which are not from the technical field at all, and low tech companies, let's call them. So it's been an amazing ride.
Yeah, what about geographically? Do you have any particular focus or are you global?
So we are currently focused on two main areas. The first and foremost is the US, North America. I would say that most of our customers are coming from there. Our second geography is Europe, which again, our main focus is contracts that are in English. We can, of course, handle other languages as well, but this is the language which we're optimized to, that all our data sets and hundreds of automated tests that we do on any new release is based on. I would say it's more than anything, it's language based.
I'm always curious what it was that got you to focus on the area that you decided to focus on, in this case, in-house legal and document automation and that sort of thing. I assume part of that came from your GC's experience, your co-founders, former GC's experience. But did you kind of look around the market and feel that something was lacking there?
So it's a great question, Bob. I'll tell you that before we decided to go all in to this direction about a year plus ago, we reached out to more than 100 general counsel and chief legal officers, mainly in the United States, but also in Europe. And we spoke to them. They were kind enough to, reply back, people we don't know. And we had a conversation, open one, understanding what's their pain points, what they're trying to do. And time after time, many of the same pains came up. And call after call just became more and more obvious that there is a huge opportunity, a market that has not yet been fully disrupted, that is looking at huge, significant change, and that it is possible to be the ones that supply the picks to the miners that are going for search of that gold. Once we started prototyping, we saw that the level of interest is so high, people are willing to participate in something so immature, thinking like a year ago, that it was clear that there is a market fit and that there is a need and there is a will. And we decided to go all in, and that's how we found ourselves now deep in the trenches, developing to in-house legal professionals.
So even before you had a fully formed product, there was a hunger for something to solve a
Absolutely.
problem.
We had 10 design partners. Some of them, most of them, I would say, are now actual customers as well, but that were willing to try things with, which are very bare bones and with the cables outside and taped, physically glued together, and they were willing to try, and that gave us a lot of motivation to keep going and to keep building and to make them happy and to help them become a better professionals for the rest of the organization they represent.
And I know we're going to launch into the demo in just a second, but you mentioned contracts. I mean, is that your primary focus is on
Oh, it's a great
the
question.
contracting process, or do you go beyond that into other aspects of in-house counsel management?
So it's a great question. I'll tell you, we are looking at the in-house legal department as a whole, but we can't do everything in day one. No, not really. And some may try, but it just doesn't work on any front. And when we did our validation, we heard time after time that one of the most repetitive, painful areas is the area of contract review and negotiation. And this is why we started by developing our first module, which we call Chamelio Negotiate, that addresses that pain point. Now, some might say, okay, done and done, it's an old thing. But to be honest, I think that this is today still one of the biggest technological challenges to actually really be at the point where you help legal professionals in what they do, because they were trained to do it so well and so quick. So in order to make an impact, you need to make sure it's hyper personalized to their needs. It doesn't only present them with, you might be interested in this clause because LLM general knowledge. You need to be able to mimic the way that they operate, the way that they think, the way that they actually operate their tools like Word and web application. And the opportunity is huge in our view. This is why we started there. But very quickly on, it was clear to us that you need to be able to combine different knowledge and understanding and needs in the organization to really solve even each of those siloed missions that you're tackling. And that's why we followed on and built and launched really recently a solution we call Chamelio Core, which allows you to upload all your legal documents into one repository that we then extract all the key metadata and information from it and make that data available for you to manipulate it in different shape or forms, to search it, to reference it when you do anything. If you need to extend the contract, if you need to check your cyber security policy insurance versus the requirements of the contract. So the intersections are many, and we are not limiting ourselves only to contracts. It is the commercial world that we are focused on, but it's not only contracts. And as we will grow and will build additional capabilities, this will only connect more and more parts of the in-house legal departments within itself and within other stakeholders in the organization.
That makes sense. All right. Well, I've asked you, I've peppered you with questions. Maybe it's time we
Yeah,
dive into taking a look at it.
absolutely happy to do so. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, Bob. So I assume you can see my screen, right?
I can see it.
Great. The first stop that we will be talking about is the Chameleon Negotiate module. What you're looking at now is our web application. It's, I would say, the backend of our system. We have two modules, two components, sorry, in our a Chamelio negotiate solution. One is the web application where you manage your playbooks, you create them, as well as other parts of the Chamelio full solution. And the other part is a word add-in that we will go over that connects to that backend and is able to drive the review process and many other operations based on the knowledge that it's gathered and handled from the web application. So now we're looking at the web application, and the first stop, as I said, is the playbooks. Now, our belief is that in order to create a real impactful contract review solution, you must be able to learn the real way that your users operate. And you can do that by using the data that they already have. And we are able to extract their precedents, alternative language, and current golden baseline from their existing documents. So you can create a playbook either from your existing template and go through a flow, which I'll show real quick, or based on your past redline. So even if you don't have a template for something, but you did redline tens of these contracts before, we can use those to generate that playbook for you. So I'll just run quickly through the wizard because it's not that interesting to see, but I think it's interesting to understand how it works. So
Yeah.
once you select the flow that you want, you select the type of playbook that you want to create. If you don't see it here, you can also create a new playbook type just by selecting new playbook type. Let's say I'm going to create an MSA agreement playbook. You select your own previously negotiated contract, sorry, your own template of the same previously negotiated contracts you're going to create a playbook for. Then you can upload additional past signed contract of the same type. They can be PDF, they can be docx, whatever they are. Then you are invited to upload first red lines versions of the same contracts. I will say that we invite you to upload both first party and third party contracts you've handled, because this enriches the way that we build those playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done, you can review it, you can click on create playbook, and the system goes to work. This might take a few hours to complete because we actually employ a very sophisticated, deep research-oriented process to extract the key information from your contract. Once it's done, this is what you get. The most comprehensive, robust playbook management system in the market. Now, it contains different automatically organized and extracted business legal groups. In each of them, you have the legal concepts that were extracted from your contracts, your risk levels that were evaluated automatically by our algorithm and past experience, which you can, of course, easily change if you want. And in each of them, you also have instructions that you can click on any of them and see what the system is going to confirm, ensure, or check. You can easily change that if you want, okay? But this came from your own templates and contracts. And for each of the instructions that we were able from your past agreements to find alternative language that you used in the past, you will also see it here. And it will also come to play when you actually do the redlining process in Word. So this is the backend that allows you a very sophisticated and robust management of your playbook operation. You can see how many times this was covered, meaning how many times from the contracts that you uploaded governing law was actually not the baseline for Florida, but for Delaware. And you have the examples right here. So this is the playbook management backend. Before I go on, any questions, Bob, or anything you want me to elaborate
Well,
on?
so just to clarify, so you're taking the template if the customer has a template. You're also looking at their first red lines,
Right,
examples from their first red lines, which are probably the most representative of what they
right,
want, other than their template, right?
correct.
And then the final signed agreement.
Right.
which would reflect the ultimate end of the negotiation, kind of pulling from all of that in order to create this playbook.
Right. Exactly so. And you said it very well that if you have your own template, you take the golden route in the middle when you do the playbook. If you don't, you probably have your own first red lines for that contract. This will be created this way from those red lines. The system
Yep.
does that automatically.
Yep.
If you don't have any of those, you can just start from scratch, click new concept, and paste clauses here that you like, that you want to have. It will generate it for you, or just manually input the data. Any of those ways work. By the way, as you go along and you actually redline using our word edit, which I'll switch over and show in a second, we start accumulating recommendations to improve this playbook in order to make it even more close to the way that you actually redline today. So we have a recommendation engine that is tracking the way that you operate and allows you and would suggest you to offer different changes to your playbook. So it's even better reflecting the way that you operate, making sure that you constantly get the right and the most accurate red lines recommendations that the system can give you.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Great. Now let's switch over to the word edit where the actual work is being done. So as I mentioned before, we are a Word plugin as well. In our solution, we have the web application and the Word plugin that talks to each other. It's very easy to obtain it just by clicking add-ins, searching Chamelio and just clicking accept. Of course, you need to reach out for us to open a user for you, but the installation in terms of like IT and all of that fun stuff is super easy, very easy to get going. I will say it's a great opportunity to say that we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We have Chief Information Security in-house. We pass regularly, multiple times a day, vendor questionnaire. We work with the biggest and most fancy cyber companies in the world. So we really understand what you need to do in order to be in line with the privacy and regulations. We don't train on your data. We have DPA signed with all our suppliers, ensuring zero data retention. We understand what's needed and we take care of that. Now,
I
once
was
you
going to
go
ask you
into
about that later, so
please,
good, you covered that.
okay, great. And if you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer. Once you're in Word, there are two, I would say, main areas to our Word edit. The first one is everything related to the contract review, and the other one is more related to our legal AI agent that helps you with multiple different type of tasks you might have that is associated with this document that you're now working on. So in our example, it's a third-party contract that I've just double-clicked from my computer and I open in order to review it. The first thing the system will ask me what is the side that I'm representing. It will allow me to change if I need to change the sides. If it's not sure who the sides am I, it's very easy. Once you're happy and you want to start review, you click on the review button. Our system will identify the different area of the contract that you have here because contracts actually are many times multi-contracts in one, right? And we are able to allow you to focus the right area in the contract that you want to review with the right playbook that you have. So in this case, you're very likely to have a playbook for your DPA and a playbook for your MSA. I'm going to start with the MSA. The time is short, so I'll try to kick it up a notch. You select the area that you want to redline, that you want to review. You click the type of playbook that you want to run. You click on review and it's going to work. It takes between 60 to 90 seconds for the system to complete its operation. Because I don't want you to wait, Bob, it's already been done. And now it's waiting just for us to take a look how it looks like. The way that our review process presents its results, it's by a very easy, one second, I just want to pop this back in. Okay, that's it. Okay, so the way that we present our results in our Word add-in is in a very easy and intuitive way by showing you issues, unknown, which soon we'll rename as red flags, and resolved. Resolved means things that are okay with this contract, and issues means things that you'll need to take a look at and decide if you want to fix it or not. All of that based, of course, by your bespoke playbook. I'll just click on any random one and show you how the system interacts. So once you click on a recommendation, what comes up is two things. One, we automatically scroll you to the relevant place in the contract where you need to understand we're going to be helping you with. The second thing is we have the same text exactly right here in this editable box available for you to see our recommendations, which will be in blue and red, with a footnote next to each of them reminding you the instruction from your own playbook that was used in this case, that was the need of correction. If you'll scroll a bit down more, you'll see that there was another rule that was covered in this case, but it passed. So this rule is okay, but this one failed. And now we allow you to implement this change easily just with a click of a button. By clicking apply, it will add it directly into the contract with your author name in it, allowing you to move on to the next recommendation. So
Okay.
very easy and very intuitive. Now the next thing is we have a missing clause. Missing clause is a different type of issue. Missing clause means we read the whole document, very relevant for third parties especially. We could not find any mentioning of the customer identification obligations clause that you have in your playbook. So we went ahead and generated it. We wrote it based on these instructions from your playbook, okay, all of these. And we will highlight an area which we suggest probably is the right context to add this as a new clause right after, which is really in the area of the identifications. Let's say you want to edit here, you can, but you click on the button. Let's say you want to edit here, where the cursor is, because you want a different place. It's in your control. Once you're happy with the place selected, you can click insert the cursor, and the system will go ahead and add this new clause right in. It's Word, so you might need to clean up some formatting. We can do things that are impossible, but
Is it going to do the
the
renumbering though? Is it going to do?
yeah, it did the renumbering. But sometimes one of the biggest challenges in life is word formatting, and I think that you and the viewers would agree. Now, if you also want to have a comment explaining why you added what you just added, you can always, at any point in time, in any of our recommendations, click on the generate comment. It will go ahead and it will generate a comment that explains the purpose of that clause and the addition or the red line that you've done. If you want to edit that as well, you can click in and it goes in directly with one click of a button. This way you go one by one and you cover all the recommendations until you are done. And this is the issues part of thing. And now I want to switch over to what we call unknown, which I think is interesting as well, because it allows you effectively to catch things that are not necessarily covered by your own playbook. And many times they are not less important. So in this case, the system saw that there is also an MFN clause in this contract. Because it's not covered by your playbook, currently in this flow of review by playbook, we don't invent a recommendation, because the idea in the review by playbook is that we help you implement your own playbook rules. And this is key when working with teams of 20, 30, 40 lawyers. You want to be able to align to one playbook and you want to have everybody doing as close to the same thing as possible. But we still want to help you with it. So, two things we will try and help you with. One, if you will edit this box and click apply, we'll be able to learn from it. And you remember those recommendations area that I showed you, these type of changes will appear there as potential additional rules to your playbook that we can help you add. We will generate them, learning what you've done here. And if you want it to be applied wide on your old playbook, you will be able to do that. But if you want to solve it now we can also help you with inline AI. So you click on this nice button, and it's like talking to your closets, like talking to your red lines. And you can say something like tapping into general LLM knowledge, not to your playbook, because it's outside of that scope, saying something like add standard exclusion. Okay, the system will get the context of the full contract of this clause and identify what type of clause is it and what standard exclusions for an MFN means, and it will go ahead and it will generate a language that answers your request. Now, you see, it did it here in blue. Now, the more specific you will be in your request, the more specific the redlining will be. This is as well something you can apply right with a click of a button directly into the document, and this way redlining and reviewing a contract becomes a much easier and quicker operation than just do it manually or doing it with a tool that is much more, I would say, shallow or general purpose only, which we're
Can
trying
I
to
edit?
do.
Can I edit in that suggestion box, or do I
Yes,
edit in the document?
you can edit in the suggestion box before you click apply. You can edit in the document afterwards, no problem. Any way that you see fit will work. Now, I will undo this change because I want to show you another thing that you can do with our word edit, which is not necessarily in the same flow as the contract review. So, as I said in the beginning, there are two main flows to use a word edit. Either you review by your own playbooks, or we just want to be there for you when you do a review, not based on a playbook, which is also something that is quite common with our users. So let's say in a different scenario, you come through the contract yourself, right? And you come upon the MFN clause, you say, no, this has to change. Now, this is the only thing you want to change in this contract. Maybe it's a shorter contract. Maybe many do playbooks for NBA, but between you and me, Bob, an NDA for professionals, 3 minutes time, you're done. So running a playbook for an NDA, if it's a very odd one. But for most cases, what you need is this. Okay, this is weird. Let's go here, click on request, insert it into the context, and say something like the same thing, just for an example, add standard illusions. And what we will do now is a similar operation that I showed you we can do in the actual review process, just separately. Means that if you just want some help inline, in Word, using AI in it, you can help use it using the request agent. The nice thing and the unique thing about it, that it won't just craft you with a language, it will also do it in that special editable box that you saw in the review. That's much easier to handle. You can edit it right here. And if you like it, you can click apply. It will be directly edited into the contract. If you want to follow up and ask additional questions, make it more aggressive, less aggressive, add an exclusion of 90 days, notice, whatever, you can do it. You can talk to it. Once you're happy with it, click apply, boom, it goes in. So it takes that AI built-in solution a few steps forward, making it even easier to review this type of things and help you even without a playbook. All right. Now, I want to show you another thing, which is our agent. Our agent
So can I
is,
ask you a quick question there before you move
please,
on to that?
of
And
course,
maybe you're going to talk about this, but so you mentioned earlier that Chamelio is sort of continuously learning and gets, learns from what you're doing. So as you're going through those stages you just demonstrated, and say I make some changes to a contract, or I get some suggested language from the agent, from the chat, and I say, "Oh, I really like this. I want to make sure this is now part of my playbook." How do I do that?
it's a great question, Bob. So I'll tell you what happens. Once you complete your review process, you click on this mark as completed button. We take this version, we analyze it behind the scenes versus your existing playbook, and anything that sticks out that means there is a need to change in the instruction, we aggregate them into the recommendation engine that we show you in your Playbook Management. We will prompt you about once a week. Hey, by the way, you have 7 recommendations or 9 recommendations
I
that you
see.
can do to your playbook according to the way that you and your team redline. Yep. It's definitely one of those features that people really like. Now, last thing I want to show you in the world of Chamelio Negotiate and in this module is how you can use our agent in order to do things which are outside of the regular scope of your review. So once you click on the agent, you can ask anything you want, basically. You can ask it, what can they do with my data? And it will provide an answer. You can ask it to draft a termination letter. It will draft it right here because it has the context of your contract. You can do multiple things. I won't cover all the use cases because we need to get going to many other things. But what I do want to show you is the 2 examples that are prepared, which are, I think, quite interesting. One is a question that I asked it. What are the insurance requirements in this contract and do they match our own coverage? And I allow you, take a look at that, when you use our agent, to mention things from our web application, from your repository. You can tag and include into a question your own playbooks or policies. In this case, I actually include a real life insurance policy for cyber. It ran the review and it presented with its conclusions. So what's the contract insurance requirements? It showed you right here, the actual contract insurance requirements from the, as it says here quite nicely in the beginning, from the exhibit C. And then your current coverage from your own policy that we've uploaded at the back end where you manage all your documents. And what's the gaps. So you can run an analysis which is not only playbook based, using your other data points that you have in your organization, which is very powerful and people use
Yeah.
it all the time for signature rights policy, IT and security provisions requirement policy. Insurance policy is very common. These type of things, you can run them and get the result right here in Word.
That's great. Interesting.
Thank you. The last thing I promise is that end of the day, you got a contract you never saw before, you don't have a playbook, you still want to have some recommendations on it. You go to the agent and you say, identify red flags in this contract and propose changes to correct them. What it will do is it will go using LLM and some guidance that we give it to make sure that it does not go off the rails, review the same contract with recommendations that it will come up with. And what's the nice thing about it is it will show you the changes that it proposes in this nice editable box. So, which you can easily take a click and see where it's coming from, what's the changes, you can edit it, and once you're happy with it, you can click apply, and it will be implemented directly. Why do we have this when we have that fancy review that I showed you before? Because sometimes you want to review a contract that you don't have a playbook for, and you still want to have some help, and you still want to have another eye. This is very useful for these one-off contracts that you handle, these longer tail contracts, and you can give the agent any type of instructions that you want and tell him make the changes. The changes will be reflected in these boxes, which are very easy to implement. So I'll tell you about the use case that I really like doing when sometimes I get comments or requests in the body of the email addressing the contract that I sent. I take those comments, I copy them, I paste them into the agent and I tell him, make the proposed changes. I paste them, I click enter, and I see all my requirements from me directly like this. So it's saving, I would say 80% of the time, looking where they're referring to, how it will look like, trying to guess, answering back. You can just do it directly from here, which is really nice and convenient. And it's also a feature that our users really like using. And it's very intuitive and super easy to get going.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's great.
All right. Now we're done talking about the Chamelio Negotiate. Let's switch over real quickly and present the system of record solution, what we call Chamelio Core. So the general idea about it is that you are able to either connect your file a repository, if it's Google Drive, in Microsoft OneDrive, in any other shape or form, if it's like in physical server, you can connect it to our system, to the Chamelio Core module. We will upload it and we'll start scanning all the documents that you upload. We support PDFs, scan PDF, docx document, any type basically of document. And what we will do is we will extract automatically all the fields that you can think of from those documents. Now, these will be extracted automatically. Any contract that we won't be able to detect the key information pieces will highlight it for you so you know that it's pending a review. But we are 97% accurate in extracting those initial data points and allowing you to run real quick. Once you've uploaded your first baseline, we enable you to upload your ongoing contracts just by forwarding them to contracts at your companyname.com or chamelio.ai, and they will appear here automatically. Now, what can you do with our system, which is unique, interesting, and outside of the scope of the CLMs and these type of solutions that we are trying to give, I would say, a more robust, comprehensive repository solution. So you could see how you can filter documents based on this view. You can click on filters, select, for example, one of the filters like document type. Let's select MSA as an example, click done. And now the system will go ahead and filter only the relevant documents that you want to see. Oh, 1 second. I think I have a technical issue here. Can you do it again? I don't know why it's loading so slowly. It's weird.
Well, we can edit out the slow loading time though. So
Okay, let me just do
looks
it
like
one
it
more
did
time
it,
and
right?
that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Okay, now let's try and filter this view real quick just by clicking the document type, clicking master service agreement and selecting that. It loads only the relevant document that you want to see. Now we're looking at the master service agreement. You can save it as a collection. A collection is like, I would say, a virtual folder. But what's unique about a collection that you can set it to be a live collection means that any new contract that is being updated into the repository and it triggers the same filters will appear here. And you are able to set up a notification based on new contracts added to a collection. So it's something that helps you with, I'll give you an example. Anytime that you see a contract that has termination for convenience, let's do it in live, and appears in this repository, let finance know. So you can actually automate this type of operation, which is important to finance, for example. Now, let's filter, let's sort by termination for convenience. You can see that it scanned the whole repository. It says yes and no. If you click on any of those answers, we will open a panel which will show you highlighted the answer to the question that you asked. In this case, can the contract be terminated for convenience? Yes. You'll see the reasoning if you want why we think it's a yes. So according to section 811, it can be terminated. If you highlight here, you'll see the original language that was used to determine that. And if you click on a button, you will actually see the original document, highlight the original area which this decision was made from. So it really takes you through the whole flow that nowadays takes much longer in order to achieve that answer. And that original view is also very easy to export into an Excel file that you can send to procurement, finance, legal, other departments, operations, data, whatever you need. Now, what else can you do if we're already here? Let's ask it, for example, can we use the counterparty logo for our website? So I would say it's a very, very common question that we are being asked constantly. It's an AI, so even with the mistake, I would bet it's going to do okay.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
the beauty of it is that you need to have a system that doesn't just spits out an answer all the time. Let's see what it said. It says I searched through the entire agreement for any provisions related, maybe even to logo usage, and I could not find any language that may grant or restrict the usage. So instead of just saying yes or no, it gave you an explanation that I could not determine. But there is no mentioning of anything that might say yes or no. It kind of tells you need to decide. But
Yeah.
when the answer is definitive yes, you get a yes like you did in termination of convenience. And you need to remember that this is like a very critical point when you're thinking about the system. You need a system that's able also to say, I don't know sometimes, because you need definitive answers when you can get them. Now, of course, there are many filters that you can apply. You can do automations on end date and effective dates and renewal dates, and only if it's can be terminated, and notification dates, all of that good stuff you can do in the system as well. And it's intertwined with our first negotiate module, although can be separately sold. We are, of course, highly recommending people to use both, because then you can also, in that agent, reference contracts that you already have and draft amendments and new clauses based on your existing contracts as well, which is super cool and unique. The last piece,
I am the
you are the
boss
boss.
here.
You
Yeah.
are
Okay.
the boss.
Okay. All
You
right.
are
I
the
like
boss.
that. I like that. I like your thinking.
That you got it. Piece of the puzzle. It's our web-based legal AI agent. Before I go into that, Bob, anything do you want me to elaborate on Chamelio Core? Go ahead.
Just you mentioned the document connection, Google Drive, whatever. I mean, do you actually sort of API connect to any of the DMS systems or anything like that? Or
Okay, so
yeah.
we are currently not API connected to the DMS systems. We are connected to the uh, top leading file sharing
Okay.
platforms: Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, and there are a few
Yeah.
others. And we are constantly adding new connections. So this is something that you don't need to worry about. We operate very quickly and happy to address any of such needs whenever, if we stumble upon a new solution or a new need or anything like that. Okay, now last part of our demo for today. And I'm sorry to skip many of the things that we can do, because I'm already, I think, feel that I am speaking too much. Now, what this comes to help, and soon probably will become like the homepage for the application in different sorts, with some different notifications that we'll have for you here. What you can do here is, this will basically become like your all-in-one, knows-it-all agent. So what can you do? For example, let's do this. Find the latest Microsoft Micro. It has access to the repository, to your playbooks, to your policies, and you can ask it multiple things to do because it has all of that access. So the first thing it does, it search for everything Microsoft. It found a few. Now, because I asked it to find the latest, it said I found several. The latest appeared to be this one, and it highlighted you the actual contract. You can click on it. It will open the actual contract that you asked it to find with natural language. It will also in the background create a short summary of that for you to have accessible with the link to the contract. And you have the contract that you are looking for at the palm of your hand. And if you want to make an operation on that contract, you can, let's say, draft an amendment to extend that contract with the same terms. So what you would like to see here is the system taking into account the contract from your repository, understanding what are the details that has to be filled out in order to make it into an extension amendment, and to draft it directly in here. Now, it will draft it in this interface, but in a couple of weeks' time, it will actually allow you to download the doc based on your own template, and even visual templates were on your own paper with your logo and everything that you can just download, take a look in Word, use our agent in the Word to take it up a notch if you need, and be done with it. So it did that. He went ahead and create an amendment. Once you're happy with it, you can also copy it, and it used the names of the relevant companies and all. You can copy it into Word now. Soon you'll be able to also to download it. It also says when it's going to be additional year means certain dates because it knows the dates. So it takes it up until like the last mile as you would like it to do. And one last thing that I'll show you in the agent, and for the sake of time, I already ran it. You can also say something like review a certain URL, like a link to a privacy policy or terms and condition on a different website based on my own playbook. And it will go ahead and it will create a review that shows you all the red lines that you want to make on that terms of service, for example. And you could also follow up and say, draft an amendment that will reference that document and will contain all my changes. And the beauty, it will create it as a separate document that says, in paragraph 5, replace this by remove that section, add this section. Like a standalone document. You can also do the same thing in our agent directly from Word. If you got a document or a PDF that you cannot redline, you can also go ahead and do that using our agent. So that's that. I know it's a lot, but it's been a wild few months that we've been building this like crazy.
Yeah. So no, it's a very excellent demonstration. I really learned a lot here. I got a couple of quick questions. I know we're
Please.
short on time, but one
No, please.
is, okay, I'm a general counsel. I just watched this video and I said, okay, I want to start. What do I
Yep.
do?
Super easy. So you go to our website, chamelio.ai, you book a demo. We are super available. Very likely that if you can do it, we'll have a demo with you set up in the next week or so. We'll answer any question that you have, and we can set up with a free trial of 2 weeks, no commitment. We can sign a DPA even for the trial, no problem. And you will be able to experience the full-blown scope of this solution in a limited way. So everything is open, but you can upload in the contract repository up to 150 contracts demo to try it. You can generate up to 3 playbooks, which is quite enough for you to really understand how it's going. But everything in terms of operations and how to use it is open for you and the team to really take a look at it and give it a full try.
And that generating the playbooks is just a matter of my uploading the documents that I want to use to do the training, basically,
Correct?
and get started with that.
Very intuitive,
The
super easy. We have
core,
videos to show
similarly, it's
you.
uploading the documents that I want to
Yep,
review there. Yes.
exactly. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you mentioned that this is, you know, only so much you can do at a time. So, I mean, can you give us any more of a kind of a preview of what is on the roadmap or what else what's coming up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great question. Thank you for asking. So we currently build 2 out of the 4 modules that we are planning for this year. The next module, the next 2 modules will be one is a module that allows us to connect more deeply with CRMs and other solutions. So we'll allow you to generate contracts based on your own template, again, with our unique, very deep personalization AI-based approach. So that's one thing which is highly requested. And the second thing is we will allow access to this agent, to this repository of data, to other stakeholders, not only through web, but also through direct communication lines such as Slack, Teams, Google Chat, and email, with the right guardrails, allowing you to control which collections and which documents and which policies, which people in the organization has access to.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's all I had. It was a really useful demonstration. Really went into a lot of detail. I learned a lot about the product. Congratulations on this. Anything else that
Excellent.
you want to say before we
No,
wrap up here? Yep. Good.
thank you for the time. Thank you for the patience.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you for anybody who's watching. We are here, Chamelio AI, waiting, to serve the in-house legal community, and we are very excited to be building the next generation of in-house legal teams.
All right. Alex, thanks so much.